Yellow Crown has been out for 2 weeks as of recording this video, and all over YouTube and in Pokemon world there's been lots of talk about, has the set been crashing? Prices come tumbling down. Is it unique in that sense, and it's not what we've seen in the Scarlet and Violet era in particular, or is this just a symptom of the Scarlet and Violet era and that this always happens with every single set? That is what we're going to find out. Before we get into that, I would like to mention that there is a giveaway still going on my channel, so if you want to know what's going on and what you need to do, then make sure you watch this video right here. Probably on the other side knowing me, but only after this video, very important, and it will tell you what you need to do in order to be in a chance to win the giveaway. Hint, subscribing to the channel is probably in there, so I'll just do it right now. Without further ado, let's get into the actual video. So yes, as usual and the same as previous videos, we'll be using TCG Player. I know it's not what everyone likes, almost like the industry standard if you like, so I'm kind of using it for myself as well. However, it is not too dissimilar to what other in the EU with Card Market, for example. But yeah, something to bear in mind that there are some variances regarding sort of your local shops, and your local area might be slightly different prices, but this is a nice sort of broad market overview. So as you can see on the page at the moment, this is just like I've done it by high to low, nothing out of the ordinary in terms of the sealed side of it. So I'm not going to go into every single card. You can probably see some of them at the top of the screen. There's a dozen or so that I'd like to get into because they kind of show exactly what's going on with this set and the market as such. And there's a couple in there which kind of break the mold and be interesting to talk about, especially because why is that the case? And also talk about that the set hasn't actually been played competitively in English. So there's a chance that all of this could change in the coming weeks in terms of the tournaments. So first one is obviously Terrapagos EX, and it's a secret art rare. And in my eyes, the most sought after card in the entire set. I know some people prefer other cards, and you've got Lacey, which we'll go on to in a bit. But to me, this is the card of the set. It is Terrapagos EX Pokemon, the stellar Pokemon. Lovely card, and as I mentioned in my opening, it's kind of Scarlet and Violet's version of rainbow cards. They're unique in that sense. And just secret art rare, there's only 6 of them in the set, so it's quite hard to pull. So some of the prices are inflated by that. Not looking at the Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade of $200. I'm not sure this will actually get to that, but as you can see here, it's got, well, it says $129.99. But as we go down, $118. What's interesting with this is it has a massive dip here as nothing was sold, so it counts as 0. Kind of want to ignore that a little bit. Not sure why this is here. I think just on the day it wasn't sold, so we'll ignore that. So this has actually steadily kept its price. When I say kept its price, obviously it's dropped. So before we just say this line went straight across, and here we go, 140, and then boom, the first big drop, as you see here, right? It drops down. Move, come on. Why is that? Well, so these are pre-release weeks, and when people got the cards from distributors, etc. 150 people were buying at this, and again, I keep saying this every single set that comes out. Don't buy the cards before they've come out. Prices will drop. Just accept it, guys. Please, just don't do it. Boom, we get to the 13th on release day, and it's a big drop already. Again, you would have saved yourself $20 to $30, pound, whatever, just by waiting just to release day. And then after release day, it drops down. I think the lowest is around 111. Yeah, 111. Does it drop again? Okay, 110. You would have saved yourself $40 just from this if you just waited. Now it has gained some price back up again to around the 180. Recent sale 117, as you can see here. What, 1 month snapshot? Low price 90, high price 172. Why would you ever pay 172, knowing for you to get your money back on it, you've got to wait many years? Don't see the point in that for a card that no guarantee anything's going to happen to it, and it's going to drop. It just is. One big point I think I've made in previous videos with like Shrouded Fable, for example, is the fact prices will drop for most things. Greninja EX is a slightly different card, but it did drop as well, and then it went up. So unique, and you might find them, but overall, please don't buy cards for stupid prices before the set is even out. So as you can see, it's good here. It's got minus 21%, and you'll see others that are 30, 40. My thumbnail was not clickbait. However, bit of context behind that. When people starting to buy these at silly prices at the beginning, okay? So this one, $150. In fact, it's got a high sale price of $172. Naturally, when the set comes out and prices start to stabilize a little bit, they will drop. And they will drop 20, 30, 40%. And it looks really bad that the set is going to be, it's not going to be valuable. A, $118 is still an expensive card. B, it just shows you how much people spend money on this to begin with, and that big drop at the beginning makes it look like it's lost lots of money, but it's kind of like an irrelevant percentage at that point. And we'll I'll go on to other cards which are even bigger percentage losses, which don't tell the true story. So if you've got someone who bought this $172 during, say, the pre-release weeks, or when people were able to get hold of pre-release packs early and open them up and were selling it because, like, well, it's, if you want it this early, there aren't many cards around for it, so it's going to be this. I'm charged whatever you want. And I'll stop going on about that, but yeah, just so you know. So it's an amazing card, let's face it. You know, this will be, you know, when people talk about Stellar Terra Pokemon, Terrapagos EX will be the one it talked about, and it'll be talked about for a few years. And it's also playable. We haven't seen, well, we have seen that in Japan, but we haven't seen it in the English side of it. But as the tournaments start happening over the next couple of months, we'll see this card quite a lot. So people like to bling their decks out, so naturally I reckon we'll be seeing this on camera. This particular card, will it go up in price? Potentially. Do I see it going up in price particularly? Maybe not, but the minus 20% on this, I wouldn't worry. I would not worry about this. This is still about fair value for what it is. I think it's going to drop a bit more, but there we go. First card on the list, minus 21%. The next biggest card from the set is, of course, Lacey. We always get, well, it seems to be in the Scarlet and Violet era, we always get a waifu secret art trainer. English Pokemon cards, the Pokemon 99% of the time is more valuable. I think Iono is the only one that's kind of gone against the curve, and that's literally, to me, because of playability. But that's another set altogether. So here we've got Lacey. Is it a playable card? I mean, again, it kind of competes with Iono a little bit. It potentially could see play maybe in the future with rotations, etc. So I'm not going to talk about it from a competitive side. However, is the one of 6 secret art rares, so there aren't many. So naturally it's sought after. And oh, would you look at that? Minus 63%. So let's just call it minus 64. This card is rubbish. It's got no value to it. Okay, let's look into this a bit more, shall we? Again, this card, for whatever reason, $124. The day before the set came out, 100. Boom. Set comes out, and look at that. We're at $62. And then people realize a lot of them around. So this card, it's amazing, but there's a lot of it around, and then it just dropped even more. And it's kind of stabilizing a little bit, but yeah. Look at that, $44. I know here it's got 70 here, but market price, let's just call it 40. Is it bad it's dropped so much? A little. People might say it's worth more than this, but I kind of see this like the Miriam of Scarlet and Violet. It's decent, like around the $60 mark, and then I reckon within the year it could become a $20 to $30 mark kind of card. That's personally how I see this. Minus 63%. Again, it looks horrific that it's tanked, and it has like officially tanked. That's because one person bought it, and then other people bought it at the say 100. A couple of people, okay? Day before it comes out, 3 more. And the card comes out, and look at it. It just drops. So it looks really bad that it's dropped, but I think it's just dropped to what the card should be, as in like its fair value. Minus 63%. Most people, when they see that, rings alarm bells. I understand why. All it's done is it's just dropped to what it should be, or what the market thinks its fair value is. I think it's going to be less than this, but yeah, again, I feel sorry for the person who bought this at 124. I don't know why you ever would, unless you're a millionaire and it doesn't matter. But you could argue that no one would have bought this until it was $60, and it would only be a drop of, I don't know, 15 to 20% instead. And that's kind of why the whole percentage side of this is a bit misleading. And a lot of YouTubers, etc., have put, oh, it's crashing, and market's stabilizing to what they think, includes you and me, the fair value of cards are. So looks really bad, but it was just overhyped in the first place. Lesson learned. The next card, however, is very interesting. That card is the Squirtle AR. So this is probably one of the most hyped cards coming out of it that isn't an SAR or secret art rare or secret illustration rare, and that is the Squirtle. It's one of the most hyped cards out there, and it's still kind of fallen victim to this overhyped. Some people want to get the card straight away, and that's kind of why you see this percentage drop of, we'll call it 20% in a second. Yes, the card is amazing. I want to get this. Based on the comments from like my previous video, lots of people, it's their chase card. And I can see why it is an amazing card. But let's look at the chart for a second. So we're looking at around $50 to $55 at its high. Again, people were buying this around the 50, and it's slowly going down. It creeps up a little bit. September the 9th, 11th, 12th, 13th. Boom, it's dropped. All of a sudden, $10 difference just from the day. The difference of the set coming out. Now, since the set coming out, however, we say September the 13th, 41. It is now at 42. So technically speaking, this has actually gone up since the day it came out by like a couple. But if you take it in terms of since the first sales happened, it's dropped 20. So again, misleading. It makes it look like, oh, this quote has dropped 20%. It must have been the card's not as good as you want. A, probably a bit of overhypeness at the beginning. You get certain people that do buy it at prices which are very high because people can kind of charge what they want, like I said. But since it's come out, this has fluctuated a lot, probably as demand has gone up and supply, the usual. People being competitive in terms of trying to get sales for it. But actually, over time, it has gone up. There's been a big spike recently. I see this card staying around this maybe at the 45. Actually, well, I say 45, like $44 here. So I see it's around the $45 mark, and I see it fluctuating a little bit as usual with supply and demand. As usual with supply and demand in this situation. In the future, this, however, could, for me, I would definitely want loads of these to, in the future, potentially could be a very good grading card in terms of the value when if you get a 10 in it. But that's just hearsay. That's not financial advice. It's just my own opinion. But yeah, definitely another misleading percentage drop. If anything, since the day it's come out, this has actually gone up by a couple of percent. Next card we've got here is another SAR, and it's Hydrapple. I didn't think, well, I like it in terms of the artwork, but I thought this was going to be a bulk SAR, if I'm being honest with you. But the more and more I look at stuff online, it's actually lots of people's favorite, or if it's not their favorite, then they just like this card a lot, which has caught me off guard a little bit. And oh, why would you look at that? It's dropped 50%, or has it? So as we can see here, it got sold at, we'll call it $67 at the beginning of September. Come along here, we're seeing what happened. Boom, 13th is at 47. So it's already dropped $20 just in the fact of the day it's released. And then people have realized that it's a good card. People like it, but it's not a big SAR. Definitely not compared to the Terrapagus. So naturally this was going to drop. It was still trying to find its feet. So as you can see here, 7, 42, 38. And only on like September the 18th, so about a week, shall we say, so 18th, 19th, did it start to flatten out. So it has gone down a bit, but it's fluctuated. So it took a week to kind of find its current floor, if you like. And as you can see here, market price around 33. It has literally dropped in half since the first sale went. And again, this is just another, because some people buy at a high price, as soon as it finds its floor, there's some big percentage swing. My eyes, it hasn't dropped as much. It's still dropped, I don't know. So it's still dropped around the 20% mark, I would say. As we can see, it's $47 on release day and then 33. So it's still dropped around, I don't know, 22%. I don't know the maths on that, so someone else can do that. So it's still a big drop. But it just goes to show you that cards need a bit of time to find their floor. It could still go down a bit even more. It's got sort of the SAR part of it, which has a premium, but this could definitely drop. It is a new Pokemon. New era, so from a playability side, no idea at the moment, but yeah, I can see this dropping more and it'd be like a 70% drop. But again, it's only because something was sold up here. Why you would ever pay this much money for this again? 50% drop, oh no, panic. And again, Scarlet and Violet era has kind of led to this, people buying beforehand and then it just drops. Next card is another not an SAR, it's an AR, and it's Bulbasaur. So I put this one here with like the Squirtle. People want both, and then you combine it with Obsidian Flames ETB promo, so you have Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle. Really nice set of artworks. Lo and behold, it's dropped 42%. It hasn't. This is nowhere near drop. So again, we have, right, let's go down. Items sold, it doesn't actually say. Nothing. Okay, 5 items sold here at the $50. $50 for this is a lot, especially when we compare price of the Squirtle, 52. So clearly someone likes Bulbasaur, really wants. We come to the 13th, $30. To me, it lost its percentage before the set was even out. $30, and it's now at 31. If anything, it's gained. And I mean, when I say gain, we're talking one. But this has held its price. Now, this is something I expected this to do. And the Squirtle is, once it found its price, it would kind of keep that for a while. How long it keeps it, I don't know. But yeah, this 42% drop is literally this here, from people getting the cards, as I said, from distributors, etc. early, all the way down to September the 13th when it came out. 192 of them sold like that, and it's because, again, supply and demand. But yeah, you're saving yourself $25 by literally just waiting 2 weeks. Whilst the sort of hype for this and the Squirtle is quite high, I can see this keeping its price tag. Again, this might be a very good graded card. So yeah, for the future, great card along with the Squirtle. This 42% on this card in particular, completely irrelevant stat. Ignore it. If anyone says this card's dropped 42%, I should be worried. Ignore them. To me, they don't know what they're talking about there, or they're trying to scare you into. Moving away from that, we get the Galvantula EX. Now this card is a SAR, It's one of the 6, I believe. So this is the 4th one we've seen. Lovely card. Again, it's got the rainbow side of it, but because of the colors of it, it looks like the entire thing is rainbow. Lovely card, lovely. We go into it. Again, it's dropped 42%. But has it dropped 42%? So we'll go into this. People getting it early, selling it for $52. Set comes out 38. And that's high when it comes out, as you see from most of these cards. And then it drops again to $30 because people realize there's loads of these around. Why would I want to spend $50 for this when I know it's going to drop down and people are going to try and sell it or open lots of them and get rid of it? Again, it's not a 42% drop. If anything, 38, again, technically it's more like a 26% drop, and even then 20, absolutely normal. Again, nothing to worry about. Let's not worry about that. Seeing a theme here. Yeah, thought as much. Here we go. Another SAR. Now this one is different. So this card in particular goes against everything I've just said. And we'll get into that in a second. The card itself is lovely, and I think that's kind of why it's done what it's done. Dashbun EX. Look at the artwork. It's made of buns. Like perfect artwork for the Pokemon itself. It's an SAR, 1/6, has that sort of rarity premium to it. And now let's look at the price. Is that a plus I'm seeing? So, a couple of reasons why. As an SAR, it started off on the lower side of things. So $30 is one of the lowest amount as such as that this card has had as when it's first sold. It has gone up since then, obviously, when people realized what the card was. And then obviously it's scarcity because there was only what pre-releases, etc. beforehand. So it went up a little bit. But at its peak, it was what, $34. And then, wait for it. Boom. It dropped down to $23 on release day, which is again like everything else. Instead of sort of falling a bit more or flatlining, all this card has done since then has gone up. Yes, it's gone back up to its price over here. In my eyes, it's gone up $30 from its 23. So this to me is almost like a 20% increase. Again, these prices here, they're just kind of irrelevant, okay? That being said, this card has bucked the trend. And I said there's always one in every set or couple that do this. There's a lot of fans of Dashbun as a Pokemon. This artwork is brilliant as a card. It's an SAR, so it is a bit more scarce than others. So naturally come with a premium. Is it playable? Not 100% sure on that, so let's leave that to one side. Is it going to go up that much more? Well, it's taken a while to sort of get back to this price over here, which again, almost irrelevant, but it's kind of tailing off a little bit. So it might be that this card is just a $30 card, and that's that. Like its ceiling / floor is $30. In a couple of months time, whatever, that could all change. The one card that's completely bucked the trend. The question is, do we have any more cards like this? So on here, I have Briar. So going forward, I think these are sort of full arts, golds, etc. and some ARs or whatever. So not necessarily the big cards of the set, but I think it's still worth looking into them. Briar is kind of, as a character in it, a very popular character from the Scarlet and Violet era in the Re-Academy side of it. It's also actually a playable card. And Briar doesn't have an SAR, so this is kind of the only alternative you can get of Briar. So that's kind of why it's at its price tag at the moment. Again, it's playable. Now, if you see more tournaments coming up, then I can see this card being played more. And I think as formats evolve and sets rotate, I can see this card being even more powerful. If we just take the Charizard deck, for example, Charizard at the moment is a Terra Pokemon, Darkness Terra. So all of a sudden, you play from behind anyways, Charizard do more damage. Some people have put this at sort of, let's say, the $50 mark. No, it doesn't actually sell there, so I'm not sure why it's gone up. Anyways, however, as usual, to be fair, this was dropping even before, which is quite hilarious if you ask me. And then, yeah, it's dropped all the way down to $30. So again, it's kind of exactly the same thing, but since coming out, it has stayed fairly stable. So it did drop, so on the 13th, 30, it's dropped down a couple of dollars, and then it's kind of like fluctuated a little bit, stayed fairly even. So it's got a market price here at like $28. Most recent sale 30. So yeah, if we call this a $30 card, it's kind of flatlined. Will this change? It's hard to see. I reckon competitive might change this card price, especially if there isn't another printing of this card, whether that's an SAR or just another printing in another set. So this could go up, but at the same time, for the full art, it's actually quite high, I believe, in my perspective. Again, 36% drop sounds a lot, but for whatever reason, people are going to buy it beforehand. It's going to look like this. It hasn't dropped 36%, so don't worry. Even for the full art, trainer. Next is our first gold card. This one that all playable, so that does have a slight effect. This is Terrapagos EX in gold, but it's dropped now. Why? Well, literally because some people have bought it at the $40 mark Yeah, there we go, $40 mark. And wait, let's get to the 13th. It's dropped $10 already. So it's saying it's dropped 25% to its sort of actual release price, and then it's dropped to 20. So if you look at this, it's dropped almost in half. Again, let's ignore all this here. This card has dropped what, $4. Now $4 percentage wise is still quite high. This has actually only dropped a couple of dollars. That's normal in this kind of market. See, like, it's even dropped down all the way to $20. I see this as a 20, kind of like the Charizard in Obsidian Flames. There's so many versions of Charizard in that set, 3 versions of this and this set, and it's not the best version. So yes, it's gold and therefore rare, but it's not rare enough to like worry about it going to. It technically is on the rise, but it's kind of flatlining a little. It hasn't dropped 43%, 10% at best, and that is a normal swing. Let's go on to Terrapagos EX. This is a normal EX, however, it's probably one of the more playable EXs in the entire set. And again, it's kind of the card of the set, the Pokemon of the set is kind of based around it. People want lots of this because it's playable, and I feel like that might be why people were into pay the $25 at the beginning, partly because it saw lots of play in Japan, and people thought maybe it's going to keep that price. Well, lo and behold, it didn't, even before it came out, and then on release day, $10. Why? Because this is not a hard card to get at all, and it's very playable. So people are, if you know there's lots of it, why would you ever pay over the odds? That being said, though it dropped a little bit more, that being said, since then, it has actually gone up. There's a couple of spikes in here, and that might just be the supply and demand side of it, which you always see, these little loops, etc. But overall, this has gone up. At the moment, it's around a $13, well, it says $14 price here. I could see this going potentially maybe 20 if all of a sudden its first tournament is a breakout and it makes it fantastic, so everyone goes for this. But there's a lot of supply of this card, so I don't think it will ever be that expensive as a card. It might spike due to a tournament, and then it will drop again. So it might not drop straight away, it might be a week or two. But please be careful with this card in particular, because although it says 50% drop, makes it look like no one wants it. People will want this card, complete sets, but also from playability. So there will be some spikes, but overall it's just an EX. Yes, it's a stellar type EX. It's also just a basic EX. So I think people need to calm down with this. Someone's already trying to sell this for $22. I would not recommend it when the price of this max $15, right? Okay, so it looks like this card has done nothing at all, but if anything, it hasn't changed from when if anything, it's gone slightly up. And that's more important to me, what it's done since it's come out. But yeah, so again, ignore this bit here. This card has gone up in price. So ultimately, I just want to summarize this video very quickly that yes, ultimately the percentages are correct. They have dropped 20 to 60%, 70%, but let's face it, it hasn't. Some of the cards have actually gone up in my eyes. What happens before release day is not its fair value for the most part. Sealed is only where it kind of like stabilizes. Everything else is a bit all over the place because there's always someone who will buy it for more than it's worth. When it does drop on release day, please don't buy cards before release day, because normally the prices are, like, as you can see, 40 to 60% more than it's worth. So I hope you enjoy this kind of video. I know that was a bit repetitive. Some people are buying cards safely and not for exorbitant prices. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.